Building Services. Roofing. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, a good morning to you and welcome to Monday the 22nd of November 2021. Now the truth is that news happens every single second of the day. But trust Good Morning Uganda to cut through the political spin and jargon, and we bring you the bigger picture. So this morning, right from 6:30 all the way to 9 a.m., that is going to be our commitment. At the end of the day, it is to inspire Uganda. After all, this is UBC. My name is Priscilla Nalwoga, and happy to have you with us on a new day and a brand new week. And welcome back from your weekend. I don't know how your weekend was. Maybe you can send me a WhatsApp and let me know how your weekend was on our WhatsApp number. But I will turn to my colleagues and find out how their weekend in particular was. Good morning to you, Robert.
A lovely morning to you, Priscilla, and of course Felix and our darling viewers that have woken up with us this lovely morning. My weekend was a bit busy, because we tried as a leadership of our village to move around and try to look at how people entered the village, speak with a few landlords. Of course, now you can't have a meeting, but you can do door to door. And the discoveries were very amazing. Some were even scary, that you'd find a house that was given to one person, that person moved out of that house, but the landlord is not even aware. Then he rented it to somebody else. How if his time has expired, maybe you're leaving a house and you call up a friend to come and take over, and the landlord thinks it's still you still in the house. Can you imagine? This person tells you, I've spent about 6 months here. Ask the landlady or landlord, who are the people in this house? He says, it's Mr. So, and Mr. So, he has a family, yet the man quit. For him, as long as money is coming on his account, he's not aware. And I was like, gosh, these are some of the challenges in our security system.
Kirabo for Mayor 2026. Be sure to save that vote for him in Machindi. Anyway, of course, my weekend was very interesting. I had work here, and then thereafter, yesterday, I had a catch up with some of my friends, and we went eating, and I had some nice meat in a new place in Kololo. I was like, yeah, but not eaten this kind of meat in a long time. Italian food is quite interesting. You should try it out. Anyway, we're also joined by Felix Nkunda this morning, and we want to find out how his weekend was. Good morning to you, Felix.
Good morning, Priscilla. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How was your weekend?
Well, my weekend was quite tiresome, but of course, with what happened in football, but it was one of those things that happened. But nevertheless, it got done, and here we are on Monday. Not much. At least we didn't have any terrors yet throughout the weekend, but of course clearly you would observe that there's still too much fear, the public and the people from everywhere I was able to go. Even when you're driving, anyone now holding a backpack, either on a border or even walking, you see that everyone's heart is pounding out. For example, like personally now I'm afraid of being in jam because you know it's just like that.
Okay. All right, well, the Bible says we shall not live by fear, but by faith. But speaking of news happening by the second, over the weekend we had the presidential address in which he did make some observations regarding security as well as an update onto COVID-19. And he also defended security on killing Sheikh Chidevu. We also had him talking about the ADF and them making a mistake to attack us. That's part of what came out from the weekend. In the National Drug Authority, they have impounded over 1 million doses of veterinary vaccines due to poor storage. And of course, when you look at the region of East Africa, DR Congo's Kabila channeled millions of dollars to family and also friends. And in the world of sports, the man that everyone has been waiting for the day that it will happen, that Manchester United will have the nerve to cut off that weak link. Well, that day did come to pass, and as of yesterday, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is no longer the Manchester United manager, something that Ruben Pima Chividango will surely have a good morning about on our sports update. But allow us to give you other news per second, and that is on our local scene and international scene, starting off with the local stories.
And like Priscilla said, the weekend we had the presidential address basically on two issues, that is security and COVID-19, where His Excellency assured Ugandans that now we have enough COVID-19 doses that can vaccinate over 21 million Ugandans. He said the vaccines will soon be available in all health centers and hospitals across the country to ensure that all Ugandans above the age of 18 and get vaccinated. The president made the revelation while giving a national address on COVID-19 and the recent bomb attacks in Kampala.
The Vice President, Major Jessica Alupo, has warned parents against lifestyles which cast the girl child in the background in preference of the boy child if the country is to achieve full women progress. Vice President Alupo said an educated girl child has a positive ripple effect on her health, family, community and society as a whole. She made the remarks during the commissioning of a multi-million girls dormitory at Situmi Girls School in Namisindwa district.
And from education we now come to Parliament, where members of Parliament and the Public Accounts Committee have given Lila city authorities only 2 weeks to rewrite their report on the projects done under US Mid in the city. This directive comes after the report that was presented by the City Council was rejected by the committee on grounds that it lacked ownership and did not have subsistence of professional required by the committee.
And finally, for our local stories, we turn to Mbara district, which is facing with 3 main insecurity problems that deserve immediate community stakeholders meetings for mitigation to create peace and harmony for sustainable development. This was disclosed by the President District Commissioner Mbara Betejezire Geoffrey while addressing sub-county and town council stakeholders meeting for Rashamahembe and Rutoma town councils at All Saints Church.
Now we'll look at international stories, and being a first story, we'll be looking at Australia back into lockdown as protests rock Europe. Now, Austria has returned to a full national lockdown as protests against the new restrictions aimed at curbing COVID-19 infections spread across Europe. From the midnight, Australians have been asked to work from home and non-essential shops have closed. New restrictions have sparked protests throughout Europe. Now, people clashed with police in Netherlands and Belgium. Infection rates have also risen sharply on the continent, prompting warnings from the World Health Organization. Now, on Saturday, the WHO regional director, that is Dr. Hans Klug, told BBC that unless measures were tightened across Europe, such as on vaccines, wearing masks and with COVID passes for venues, 500,000 more deaths could be recorded in the next spring. Now to Haiti, 2 of the 17 missionaries kidnapped in Haiti were released. At least 17 Christian missionaries kidnapped in Haiti last month have been released, according to the group's United States-based church organization. In a statement on Sunday, the Christian Aid Ministry said, "We have learned that 2 of the hostages in Haiti were released, and it said it could not give the names of those released, why they were freed, or other information. Now, while we rejoice at this release, our hearts are with the 15 people who are still being held," it added. At least 16 Americans and 1 Canadian, including 5 children, were abducted in October after visiting an orphanage. The Haitian driver was also taken hostage. Now, the leader of the gang that kidnapped the group has threatened to kill the hostage unless his demands are met. Authorities have said the gang, known as 400 Mawozo, was demanding 1 million per person, although it was not immediately clear if that included the children in the group. Now back to Africa. Sudan's military reinstates ousted civilian PM, that is Hamdok. Sudan's ousted Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok has been reinstated following last month's coup when he was put under house arrest. He has appeared on TV to sign a new power-sharing agreement with coup leader General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan amid continuing mass protests. But the civilian coalition that nominated Mr. Hamdok as PM 2 years ago refused to acknowledge any new deal. The pact had been struck with a gun to his head, a spokesperson told BBC. Now, the future of the country will be determined by the young people on the ground, Sadiq Abdul Fawaz from Forces of the Freedom and Change Coalition told BBC News as well.
Well, thank you so much, Felix Nkunda, for that international update. Now, as far as this journey continues until 9 a.m. this morning, Monday might be a little bit warm. Of course, there was a light drizzle or shower earlier on in the 5 a.m. hour. So just so we don't know what the weather may come up like in the rest of the day, but best to be safe. Carry your umbrella and carry something that will keep you warm just in case the showers open up once again. But also in regards to health, we want you to be healthy this morning and into the new week as we come to the wrap-up of 2021.
And you only have to secure your body's immunity by taking Hallelujah reflexology products, Hallelujah ginger tea, Hallelujah turmeric drink. These will help you as you go through business, because what you can hard to find and of course mix it at the same time, these people did it for you. Hallelujah reflexology, there's ginger, you have turmeric, you have all those ingredients packed together in this bottle to boost your immune system. So just go to the nearest supermarket, any retail shop, and at just 1,500, get yourself a bottle.
All right, I just want to pick my colleagues' minds about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer being out of Manchester United. I know that's something that Felix did highlight earlier on in the course of his introduction. And what sentiments caused the you of this news?
Well, of course, it was, one would say it was long overdue. Probably should have been out much earlier. But even his appointment for the job was also much early. I don't think by the time he was called on to, he was good for the job. But also, secondly, the faults of when I was watching Manchester's game this weekend, I noticed that I failed where I wanted, like, to blame Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I didn't know what to blame him for, honestly and truly. I really failed. So sometimes he falls victim of laziness. Manchester played a very lazy game. Everyone didn't seem interested. Even, they didn't seem like they had the urge to win the game. And I don't know how that comes onto the effect of the coach. But nevertheless, he's out. Let's see what their move will be again. But you see, putting together a team, it's not that much easy. So probably you should have given him a chance for the season.
Well, that's what happened for Pochettino when he was at Spurs, but then when he was ousted, it was still, from the better the same. The players are boring, they're not bringing their best game for Spurs as expectedly, and as soon as he was ousted and Jose Mourinho was brought in for Spurs, there was a different feel and vibe to the club altogether. So maybe an incentive is necessary for the club. But I'm pretty sure Robert also has his 2 cents in this conversation.
Well, for me, I think the aftermath will determine if it was really worth the game or it was panic and pressure from the fans. For us who support Arsenal, we're a bit patient. We're a bit patient, and of course we take our time. But I must say that Manchester is a team where You have to deliver or you quit. You have to deliver or you quit. And over a time, that has financial implications on how much the team is spending and all that. But we can only tell who will take over and how successful this is going to be. We may end up that's not all about the manager or something else.
Okay, all right. Well, as we continue on into Good Morning Uganda this Monday morning, we just want to let you know what is yet to be coming up. Felix Nkunda, what do we have in our newsreel?
Well, of course, we'll be also looking at probably road accidents and how we can be able to avoid such of the same, but also be trying to take a look at what the president come out to mention.
Okay. We also do have Good Morning Uganda agenda that does start our 8 o'clock hour on Good Morning Uganda, and Robert Kirabo is our host.
Today we expect to be discussing more regarding security, and if all goes well, we shall be having the police spokesperson, that is Fred Enanga, who will be joining us.
All right, but before we leave it, of course, the whole morning is going to be wrapped up by Ruben Pima Chivilango, who is going to be giving you sports update and what transpired in the leagues across Europe, as well as the NBA. We do have someone who loves the NBA here on WhatsApp, or is sending us a WhatsApp regarding an update in the NBA. But away from that, and before we wrap up this hour, we just want to give you a poll question for the day for your engagement.
And our poll question is, what should road users do to avoid road accidents as we head into the festive season? What should road users do to avoid road accidents as we head into the festive season? Now hit our social medias, that is on Twitter, hashtag UBCGMU, and on our WhatsApp, 0709 60 25 92.
Okay. All right. Well, we do have 10 minutes to 7 a.m. this Monday morning. We do have a message coming in here. Hello, my morning is fine, and thanks to Jesus for keeping me alive through the name of the Father, our glory, heavenly God. And I'm Silva from Soroti. Well, Silva from Soroti, thank you so much for waking up to Good Morning Uganda. And I know many of you are waking up to Good Morning Uganda. Please let us know that you are on the other side by sending us a WhatsApp on the line that will be appearing on your screen. For now, allow us to take a short commercial break, leave you with a song for the day, and meet you in our 7 o'clock hour.
reason to love it.
If you look at all sectors, energy has an influence.
Now, how do we build a model that is sustainable? We are making good investments and we are growing the sector.
Our record under UEP had not been that very good.
World Bank Group has been involved in Uganda electricity sector since the mid-2000s, where it has supported the government in very bold reform.
The last 15 years, we focused on the parameters that were set in our concession that was negotiated at the time. It took the best minds of Uganda to work on it and also the best minds internationally because they had to plan for 20 years ahead.
As remember, we have innovated over the period. We've rolled out cashless. We introduced payment metering, Yaka. As I speak now, the 1.5 million customers are all on Yaka.
The transition has been very, very good because Ugandans who enjoy the power went out and bought shares.
Umeme's massive investment, a robust and functional distribution network that will impact the lives of Uganda's over 40 million citizens.
Deposit money onto your Airtel Money account. Reactivate your Airtel Money account with a deposit of a minimum of 1,000 shillings and get 10 minutes free Airtel to Airtel calls valid for 24 hours. Offers applicable for a one-time transaction. Terms and conditions apply. Airtel Money. Simple, secure, borderless.
Raising voices.
I feel happy when my father spends time with me. I hope all fathers will like my father. I want my father to reach out to all fathers. He knows how important it is to be a good father. I promise to help my father inspire other fathers to change.
In this time of COVID, what is your promise to the children of Uganda? Because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising voices.
This is Good Morning Uganda. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning to you once again. This is UBC and you are watching Good Morning Uganda. My name is Priscilla Nalwoga alongside Felix Nkunda and Robert Kirabo. And today is Monday the 22nd of November 2021. A few more days and we wrap up the month of November, introduce you into the festive season, and voila, just like that, the year 2020 will be a bygone and written in history. However, over the course of the weekend, we had the presidential address where we had from His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni regarding what was the COVID-19 update to the country as well as a security update in the light of what happened last week on Tuesday, the twin bombings in Kampala. But before we get into that, as our newsreel, we would like to give you a recap of our poll question in case you've just joined us.
And our poll question is, what should road users do to avoid road accidents as we head into the festive season? What should road users do to avoid road accidents as we head into the festive season? Social media platforms, that is on Twitter, #UBCGMU, and of course on WhatsApp, we can get your feedback on 0709 60 25 92.
All right. Well, in light of the presidential address, when you look at the statistics right now for COVID-19 and the doses that have so far been administered, we now are at 6,072,617 doses that have so far been administered. That is definitely worth Obugado. We listened to the president. His target was 4.8 million Ugandans vaccinated by the end of December 2021. But I am loving how Uganda Ugandans are responding to the call, the fight against COVID-19 with the mass vaccination drives that have been conducted by the Ministry of Health in partnership with other entities to ensure that as many Ugandans get to be vaccinated within this season to curb on the COVID-19, which led to the president coming to countrymen and, sharing with us an update in regards to COVID-19. Having achieved the target that we were given, now we have a new target of 21 million people to be vaccinated, but nevertheless, it won't stop the economy to reopen fully in the year 2021. This is positive news that we've had in such a long time. After 2 lockdowns, after some industries being under partial lockdown, some are still in total lockdown, I believe this is a light at the end of the tunnel. Robert.
Definitely. First and foremost, we want to congratulate all Ugandans that have gone for vaccination. Just imagine the situation if by now we hadn't met the targets. Many hopes of people would be really, a state of hopelessness. But now there's light at the end of the tunnel. We know come January, and His Excellency has said whether people are vaccinated or not, if we had hit the number, but now we're already there, we shall open the economy. Meaning now that it is upon you. The first time when his earlier, that is last year's, he would already say, I'm going to plead for you not to die, wear a mask, do this, do that. But now we all know that vaccination is the best way. And I'm glad that Ugandans have taken this. And when the president said that we expect to have about 21 million doses of vaccines in this country, and they said that vaccines will be available at health center 3s and all hospitals. Now I think it will be out of your own recklessness and negligence for you to die of COVID-19. Because one thing we know is the vaccine helps to fight severe illness, hospitalization, and the worst being death. So it is there, free of charge. And we know that to open our economy, it is only when we have a good percentage of the population vaccinated. Felix was reading a story that is in Europe where some countries have gone back to lockdown because the deaths are increasing. And when you listen to this, it simply means people do not adhere to COVID-19. So that's a step in the right direction because it surely shows that COVID will be with us, but we'll be immune, that yes, people cannot die from that. So for me, I was very happy. Most when the president says they are going to be more accessible, more available, because there have been some of the challenges. And I also want to believe that because of the numbers of people that are taking these vaccines, these jabs, now the the facts, the myth, there's so much, a lot of misinformation on ground. I don't want to say government has done much to neutralize it. But I think because of the intake, most so when we had the professionals coming out like teachers, you must get vaccinated. So now people are seeing colleagues they know who got vaccinated and they are okay. They are carrying out with business. When we had teachers, we had some institutions saying you're not vaccinated. I think that has done great to accelerate the peak or the move at which vaccination has been done in our country.
Okay, all right. New cases as of 19th November were at 49 new cases. 1 death had been registered by the 19th of November. But also when you look at the test positivity rate, 0.9%, this definitely is indicators that the Ministry of Health, the National Task Force regarding COVID-19 and every other supporting organ has put in their best foot forward to ensure that we have this mass fight against COVID-19. An assessment in the positivity contribution of the stakeholders in this fight. Felix.
Well, there's been much effort, and both from the private and the public sector, and we have seen this being adhered to by far by our people, but also the fosterancy of the same has been evident in even using coerciveness. As a matter of fact, you can imagine since the president started to ease a bit on the lockdown, that was a good method for pushing people to get vaccinated. And if you're to do a review on the numbers, the most recent numbers that have been vaccinated, you would be not surprised when you see that most of them are probably under the categories of some of the areas that were opened. For example, universities, between you and me, you've seen a tremendous increase in the people who turn out for vaccination since the universities were opened on the 1st of November. Probably that also answers into why we have been able to hit the target of 4.8 and probably surpassed it by far to about 6 million for that matter. It's simply because of that. Now, it's a technical approach from His Excellency that if we let these people, when you start opening up, people are able to access some of these drugs, but also because of what they have gotten, they don't want to go back. Let them test the beauty, the sweetness of the waters. Then they will know how to keep in that kind of sweetness. And this is what we have seen. And I can tell you as a matter of fact, the more they open up the economy, the more people who are going to get vaccinated. If they, for example, they say that we are opening up bars, restaurants in certain places, and we are removing curfew, so we can hit another probably 10 or 15 million. I can tell you that will be achievable. I can predict that the vaccination rate will go so high between January and March. We shall have something quite interesting there, and you may be able to hit about 15 million to 20 million people who will be vaccinated. Why? Because people will have been like, you see, every time you give an opportunity to people to come out, they feel there's an element of one, they feel like there's a debt for them to pay. Two, but also now that they know they are there, they want to keep there. They don't, and people have been saying this if you move around even in arcades, like okusinga okutugala katwegemi, okusinga okutugala. It's, you know, which resonates into the sense of that instead of going back lockdown, let's. So the more there is the lockdown, the curfew and what, more people will get into the vaccination drive. So I think it's a good thing so far. It's very much promising, and of course it puts us to a point where we will build hope in terms of how much we can do in the aftermath of COVID-19.
Okay. Robert, from the presidential speech, he gave direction to the RDCs and also the district health officers to ensure that the health center 3s do have access to these vaccines, because now the target being 21 million, it definitely means that you have to bring the vaccines closer, much closer to the communities. Now, let's talk about the roles of the RDCs in partnership with, of course, the Ministry of Health and others in being able to disseminate and extend this service in particular to the rest of the Ugandans that are not yet vaccinated.
Well, first and foremost, the RDCs, these are representatives of the president. These are resident district commissioners, and for Kampala, that is the RDC, and some cities, resident city commissioners. So they're supposed to represent the president in their areas of jurisdiction. What the president wants to be done. They're not only in charge of security, and of course, also COVID has had an element on security. True. When people are not working, people are at home, they lack what to eat, definitely some of these things could happen. So mobilization, I think now is key. Two areas that the RDCs must focus on. Mobilization, how do you mobilize the masses to ensure that they get to this area? How do you give them relevant information? One of the offices I've seen, a very busy office, is the office of the RDC. Go to any part of this country, I think on average a day it can even have about 200 people. Because it is a place where everybody comes. These have issues, go to the RDC, or this RDC. So it's an office that attracts a number of people. And if they position themselves well, there's so much they can do to give the right information to mobilize the people. Then also, you see, the RDC is supposed to monitor and also supervise government programs. So when you're going to avail drugs, say at health center 3s, you know, these are a bit far away from the command center, Ministry of Health or city. So ensuring that the health workers are there on time. The drugs are also there on time. We don't have stock outs at these areas. So these also, the RDCs must look into this area. So mobilization and also monitoring and supervising that this exercise is carried out smoothly, because a different thing, having the vaccines at a center and people are not coming because either they're lacking sufficient information or there is so much of wrong information out there. And it's also a different thing, people turning up and the vaccines are not there, or they're simply told the vaccines are finished, we've not gotten deliveries. So this office of the RDC, because it's cross-cutting, it's more like a link. And he can make NCR and there, make a number of connections. These are the two areas I see: supervision and monitoring, but also sensitization, deliberate sensitization in for COVID-19, more that this is an office that has a number of people and can carry out a lot of sensitization, a lot of connectivity with so many people to push this drive further.
Okay, all right. Felix, we would like to look at the, some of the sectors that are still under total lockdown, such as the industry of arts and entertainment. You do have the president having given that directive of convenience in regards to the capacity that can be in a public space or in an entity or in an organization, which had been lifted from 10% to 20% people in offices as per the total number of employers, for example, if it's a company or an industry for that matter, or a factory for that regard. And then we now have the promise of the economy opening up fully 2020. What does this look like in terms of social development, economic development, infrastructure development, and releasing people to actually go back to normality?
Well, of course, the reason why the present status, or what one would call the status quo ante, is problematic because it does not define the livelihood of Ugandans. It's far from the definition of who we are as a country. And the latter in the same does acknowledge that we got here by default, not by appreciation, neither by vote of commonality, if it was even democracy for that. We got here before we knew it, and clearly we want to leave this position, because this is not where we belong. We don't belong here in terms of business. We don't belong here in terms of workmanship. We don't belong here in terms of education. This is not our place. And that's why you see every other person is trying to put together efforts so we can get the hell out of this thing they call lockdown. But also, we must be smart as we get out of this whole thing. And this is why government has continuously come to tie some sort of work to the getting out of it. We don't want to hit rock bottom again, as you've seen in Europe. You see, the presence of the vaccines, and this is a matter of fact, does not guarantee ultimately that we will get rid of the existence of this virus. Mm-hmm. And that I may have to repeat, and it has been said time and again, that the existence of the vaccines does not cause ultimate guarantee that we will be good to go. And that's why, above and beyond just the vaccination, we must stay quite conscious and awake to the other aspects and the knowledge around us that does touch COVID-19. In terms of our social behavior, we must cling on to the behaviors that have been helping us, or that have actually helped us come this far. What social behavior are those? The government also came up to put what we call the SOPs, or people call them SOPs, or also the standard operating procedures in terms of how we deal with COVID-19. You have seen people in various, for example, I don't want to think that the countries that are going back in lockdown, we have immunized more than them or vaccinated more than them. But we must study this virus wider than just what we have. For example, the conditions, weather conditions. What is the relationship of this particular virus with people with comorbidities, age, of course, also location. So we must take into full account some of these things as we gladly excite ourselves. And this will help us understand the fact or the concept of bringing into play of the institutions that have not been open. That what would be the use of us rushing to open up particular aspects of the economy? And this will help us go back into lockdown. You may want to rush to open the bars, fully open everything, but then you're simply
we have a guarantee that if they are vaccinated, we shall reduce death rates.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying that it is not conclusively enough for us to discuss vaccination as a way to reduce the spread of COVID-19.
Actually, vaccination works on reducing death, but spread, unless people perfect, like you said, the SOPs, still you'll have infections go high.
Yeah, and so I'm trying to say that in as much as we yearn to open, and as Priscilla asked, what to do for the other institutions or parts of the economy that have not been opened. We must continue with our social behavior in how we deal with COVID-19. And that's a matter of fact. In terms of what people want to call the new normal, we may have to learn to operate differently and probably anew in terms of our modus operandi. But let me just say this also lastly, that COVID-19 has been a roller coaster, one would say, but it's also been a lesson very much for all of us as a country in terms of our economy. We cannot get out of COVID-19 worse than how we got in. We must get out of it much better in terms of socio-economic, socio-cultural, socio-religious, socio-political, all these things. In terms of government expenses into healthcare, what do we see? Is there anything new we have seen? Do we see an increment? Because remember, the effects of COVID may go past and past.
Okay.
Just
all right. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen. And that gives us a review of what the president did talk about over the course of the weekend regarding the COVID-19 update and what is yet to be expected of us as Ugandans. And now that the COVID-19 vaccines are being extended to health center 3s and within communities, and the directive is now everybody above 18 years of age can now fully go for vaccination, first dose, second dose. Of course, please do note that you must get the same dose for both first and second, same vaccine, sorry, for both the first and the second. And also in regards to security, the president did commit that they are doing the very best and they're going to run the ADF out of this country. They've done it before in Somalia 10 years ago, and this shouldn't be new for them. They will deal with the terrorists who are causing terror threats and bringing in this whole new thing called urban terrorism, which definitely we shall also call history someday. But speaking of someday, we do have so many people that have lost their lives due to road accidents. And the Minister for Works and Transport, General Katumba Wamala, says that there are concerted efforts to reduce the number of road accidents by the year 2030. He made these remarks as global citizens did observe the World Day of Remembrance for road traffic victims. And of course, in the year 2020 and into 2021, there was a registration of 3,600 people who had lost their lives due to road accidents, something that we don't want to see. However, government is coming out with strategies to end road accidents ahead of the festive season, and we all know that the festive season comes with both good news, but there's always bad news. You're always hearing of, accidents on main highways heading out into the countryside, and people lose their lives. The cars get damaged. Basically, life is turned upside down. Looking at some of the statistics here, when we get to look at road accidents, you get to have 6 buses that you will find on the Kampala streets with 20 to 60 people. You will always find a border, and we're looking at modes of transport. There's always a taxi somewhere, and it's common in every division of the city. You always have the cars, obviously, and the bicycles, of which because of COVID-19 it has introduced us to access more different modes of transport. Bicycles have become also quite numerous on the roads, and the pedestrians. Those are some of the major road users. And yet, when you look at globally, 15 to 19-year-olds get to lose their lives, and they're usually pedestrians who end up as victims of these road accidents. So speaking about road accidents, how can we actually have this curbed ahead of the festive season, which is around the corner?
First, Priscilla, when you look at the statistics, just 2020 and you lose 3,600 people, that is something that I believe should cause even national concern. We've been around with COVID, but we may not even have gotten there yet. And if you look at the prominence we've given to COVID, what if we divert this more into traffic accidents? One of the things that sometimes really annoys me when it comes to our country, Uganda, is either the way we use the word accident, road accident, because to me, a road accident should be, or a traffic accident should be more or less an act of God. That's something that was not preventable.
An act of God?
That it didn't have anything to do with human error or intentional. And I want to use these words from the former Inspector General of Police, General Kaleka Ihura. He said, what we have in Uganda, actually not accidents. These are acts of recklessness, and carelessness, that a person will ignite the engine of his car when he knows I have a brake problem. And actually, if you look at most of the cars that after accidents are taken and they bring people to analyze the condition, or the motor vehicle inspector, they will tell you, even the culprits will tell you, so that these are things, most of these accidents are preventable. And you lose 3,600 people in preventable things, preventable acts. So I don't even want to term these as accidents. But how best can we do when it comes to the festive season? Mainly there are about 2 or 3 causes of accidents in festive seasons. First is inexperienced drivers. Police has over that time given us reports indicating that many people want to go to their villages driving. A person bought a car, you know, we have a culture, Christmas, we go to the villages. Not experienced in long distance driving. She's been driving, or he's been driving much in here to UBC, much in here to UBC. So he says, I'm going to Kabarole with my car because I bought this car.
I want to try out my long distance.
I want to try out my long distance. I have to go with my family.
Yeah.
So he has no experience at all.
There's no experience, but also they forget that the car that you wanted to drive to Kabale, you need to actually have it checked, your oil in regards to servicing the car before you send it out on such a road. Are the tires okay? Yes. So that
second, it has been, when it comes to public transport, it has been overspeeding. That you see, this is a booming time because transport costs are very high. So a person wants to make a number of journeys in all ways. If you meet them at the highway, they still have panyas or other routes they will use. So overspeeding. Then the other has always been more so people driving under the influence of alcohol. Because at this time there's so much excitement among people. We are going to the village to let's buy as we go, enjoying. So how best can you address this? Of course, you'll have to improve on checking of these vehicles, rampant roadblocks, or all these. So we know the causes, and I greatly feel that we can try to avoid them, have people that are fit to be on the road. Sometimes when you have operations like Fika Salama, you saw people were even deserting almost Masaka Road because they knew they were not fit to be on the road. But how many of those said Masaka Road is now a no-go area because of Fika Salama, but were usually using this route? So there's some of the things we believe if we really intensify them, then also consistency, will be good to go by the time we hit this season.
Okay. All right. Still looking at road safety and within the cities and ahead of the festive season, you do have government, you do have the private sector, of course, you also do have the civil society. And you do have, of course, agencies that also cater to the same KCCA. You do have the Ministry of Works and Transport. You do have Uganda Police that is also comes in to be responsible in this regard. You also do have UNRA, who are doing a lot of construction work on different roads up country. So let's look at the purpose of road safety and the stakeholders in regards to actually ensuring that the users have safety on the roads.
You see, safety is in the confines of the national attire. That's why these campaigns, most of the times, they're either done by government or with partnership with government. Why I say they're in the confines of the national attire is that, you see, for any form of safeguard, regulation, or any attribution to close any gap in society must spring first and foremost from the institution of government. All the institutions you've mentioned have a relationship with government. Now, however, the effects of accidents are so grievous and they cause entire damage to the nation. How? There was a time in this country, haven't looked at statistics most recent, but you will be surprised that there's a big and great budget of the healthcare that goes on to dealing with victims of accidents. There was a time again in this country where we used to have the biggest number of casualties being border riders.
And still.
You get the point. It's nevertheless also an attribution to abuse and vandalism. When you look at the burden that falls on government, when we have various accidents, you will be shocked. Not just treatment in hospitals. There's what we call breaking the chain of productivity. There's a bus coming from somewhere and probably 37 people perish. You're breaking the chain of productivity. Now, also, a country can only be a country if it has people. Population. Population is not made up of grass, lantana, camara, elephant, no. It is made up of human beings, and that's the need of safeguarding such human beings. Because if every year you're losing about 3,000, in 10 years you've lost how many? You get it? So it's incumbent on government to make sure that we save lives of people. But also, in as much as government has a role, so do we as road users have a role. There are very many loopholes when you talk about road accidents in Uganda, and I may be worried to accept that probably 3/4 of the road accidents we have in Uganda, if not actually 90% of them, are avoidable accidents. For some of you who are privileged to drive on Kampala roads, you know that every time, say, you drive from, let's say, Rubaga to Kampala and back, you may have saved over 10 lives. How? For some of you who see people who ride on border borders, the way they ride, if you don't have the discipline to always take the full seat on the road, you may have you could cause 10 accidents on your way home and on your way to work.
When I was starting to drive, and I would be driving, my mother should be telling me, do you know how many people you're driving? I said, just train the car. It's like, no, you're driving the person in front of you, the person behind you, everyone on the side of you,
that is it.
Anyone on the opposite traffic.
And that's why we need sober people on the road.
Definitely.
Because that's what I'm saying, that on your way home, from home and to home, you can cause 10 accidents. You don't know how many people will die in that, and save 10 of that. So the people who go on the road is the most critical issue that should be answered by the ministry, who is licensed to drive. In Kampala, I can tell you as a matter of fact, over 50% people on the road are not supposed to be on the road. Yeah. That's a matter of fact. And that's the danger.
Well, we'll definitely continue this conversation as the festives are building up, but what we call upon, the different stakeholders is to improve on the fast and efficient emergency medical response, because some of these shouldn't really be ending up in deaths if we had emergencies that actually come to rescue the situation
to talk about,
in time.
People who come to rescue and just rob these victims.
That's also another challenge, but that one is not really in control.
By the time you come to assist a person, you don't have any documents, they have been robbed, they have been stolen, the mobile phone has been stolen. So even
that goes back to individuals and
that's
society.
Simply moral fabric.
Really, that's
and you may not discuss it directly in relation to accidents. I think for us we must put emphasis on the processes.
Yes.
Who is on the road? You see, we can avoid. You're talking about aid, but let us look at preventive measures.
True.
I can tell you, you go to taxi drivers.
The express highway that now has a patrol to make sure that in case of any emergencies, things are sorted out. Yes. Imagine if we had that on highways.
Quick response.
That are
also
en route to
road
different
accidents,
parts of the
by the way, when you're discussing them, never forget to talk about corruption. Priscilla, you drive, you don't have a permit, and because of corruption, you'll go. The next thing you hear, Asaband.
Okay.
Because they gave 2,000 shillings, 5,000 to a police officer. Let's deal with the actual issues.
Yeah.
Who is accredited to be on the road?
And the victims, because of, again, corruption, overloading of these vehicles.
Actually, we are paying a big
under
price.
COVID-19, we're supposed to be having half the number of passengers in a vehicle. Anyway, we have just opened up a can of worms. We'll definitely continue with this conversation. But just before we leave, we want to give you a recap into our poll question this morning.
And that is what should road users do to avoid road accidents as we head into the festive season? What should road users do to avoid road accidents as we head into the festive season? On our Twitter, that is #UBCGMU. And still on our WhatsApp, 0709602592.
Okay, all right. We also do have Robert Kirabo is going to be hosting the spokesperson for police at Naguru headquarters, and that is Fred Nanga. We are going to be having that interview live from the Naguru police headquarters at exactly 8 a.m. So stay tuned for that. Allow us to take you through the papers for Monday morning. What are they saying from the course of the weekend into the start of a new week? Traffic updates coming your way, and of course giving you an update into the security state of our country as we close up this hour.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
The Kabaka Birthday Run 2021 is back on Sunday 28th November 2021 and will be flagged off by Sabasaja Kabaka at 7 a.m. in support of men, good health and the fight against ending AIDS by 2030. It will be a virtual run in our various homes and communities around Uganda, with every participant following the Ministry of Health guidelines and SOPs to stop the spread of corona. Buy your ticket today at 15,000 Uganda shillings from Airtel Shops, New Park, Chagwe Road, ShopRite Building, Benchwanuka, Tobani Center, or Bulange Mengo. You can also buy your ticket using Airtel Money. Dial *185*5#, select payments, select Kabaka Run, and follow the prompts to complete the payment. Kabaka Birthday Run 2021, brought to you by UNAIDS, CBS, BBS, and Airtel, the smartphone network.
Raising voices.
I feel happy when my father spends time with me. I hope all fathers will like my father. I want my father to reach out to all fathers. He knows how important it is to be a good father. I promise to help my father inspire other fathers to change.
In this time of COVID, what is your promise to the children of Uganda? Because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising voices.
It's the festive season and we love it. And that means it's time to celebrate with GoTV.
Come with me.
So get your GoCoder and GoTV value for 25,000 shillings to watch with the whole family. And if you're feeling extra festive, upgrade to our best package yet, GoTV Super.
Something to look forward to.
Download the My GoTV app for more information.
Super.
We all deserve a super festive season. And with GoTV, there's every reason to love it.
Deposit money onto your Airtel Money account. Reactivate your Airtel Money account with a deposit of a minimum of 1,000 shillings and get 10 minutes free Airtel to Airtel calls valid for 24 hours. Offer is applicable for a one-time transaction. Terms and conditions apply. Airtel Money. Simple, secure, borderless.
Raising voices.
I feel happy when my father spends time with me. I hope all fathers will like my father. I want my father to reach out to all fathers. He knows how important it is to be a good father. I promise to help my father inspire other fathers to change.
In this time of COVID, what is your promise to the children of Uganda? Because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising voices.
Patriotism is a feeling of love, devotion, and the willingness to sacrifice for one's country.
I say no to corruption because I put my country first. I choose peace over violence because I put my country first.
I love Uganda. I serve Uganda. I sacrifice for Uganda. I'm loyal to Uganda. I love myself.
Be patriotic. Uganda first. This message is brought to you by the National Secretariat for Patriotism Co-Uganda, Office of the President.
If you look at all sectors, energy has an influence.
Now, how do we build a model that is sustainable? We're making good investments and we're growing the sector.
Our record under UEP had not been that very good.
World Bank Group has been involved in Uganda electricity sector since the mid-2000s, where it has supported the government in very bold reform.
The last 15 years, we focused on the parameters that were set in our concession that was negotiated at the time. It took the best minds of Uganda to work on it and also the best minds internationally. because they had to plan for 20 years ahead.
As remember, we have innovated over the period. We've rolled out cashless. We introduced payment metering, Yaka. As I speak now, the 1.5 million customers are all on Yaka.
The transition has been very, very good because Ugandans who enjoy the power went out and bought shares.
Umeme's massive investment, a robust and functional distribution network that will impact the lives of Uganda's over 40 million citizens.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Now into our daily papers, we'll be starting off with Daily Monitor, and we'll be looking at the headlines there. Uganda rallies support to send army to Congo. Now ADF rebels have bases in neighboring countries, and government accuses the rebels of recent blasts. But also Uganda plan to deploy in Congo in May, and Museveni assures Ugandans of peace and security. Now, of course, Bishop Laum takes over Northern Uganda Diocese, and also still in the headlines, think about patients. Health Ministry tells striking doctors, and KCCA Chisaka speaks on her time at the City Hall. And of course, in Health and Living, why prostate cancer is a silent killer, and suspected rioters arrested, shooters still walking free. Inside the papers, concerns grow over killing of bomb suspects, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer sacked by Manchester United. Now, of course, from the archives, President Museveni addresses local council leaders in Bushenyi district on January 11th, that is 1993. Margaret Thatcher resigns today in history, and also in history, US President Kennedy is assassinated.
In the New Vision this Monday morning, we get to look at over 500 jobs and tenders in the tabloids for you. Pass O-level, Senior 3 Mathematics, Literature and Physics, plus Senior 2 Biography and Chemistry. But in the black and white, Museveni tells ADF rebels to surrender. More on the presidential address. Scientists commended on COVID-19 fight on page 4 and 5 and 10 of the New Vision. But the front pictorial is something worth a moment of sight. Kiplimo shatters world record, and he's Uganda's long-distance runner, breaking the world half marathon record yesterday when he clocked in 57 minutes and 31 seconds in a road race. You can read about more details regarding him in the New Vision. Land Commission saga takes twist. You do look at health and beauty, where Uganda performs fast knee replacement surgery, and then youth narrate life living with HIV. That's on the front page. Getting into the deep of New Vision, we get to look at MC Cards there. They bring you, some stories about him, facts about HIV, how do drugs put one at risk of HIV, and of course they get to bring you partners in keeping you safe from HIV, the figures for 2020, a COVID-19 tracker from the world that has total cases of 257 billion, and then you do million, and then you do have Ugandan updates. We do have 49 new confirmed cases and others. Today in history, November 22nd, 1996, Uganda, Burundi presidents get to meet, and still the same day, 1962, JF Kennedy assassinated. So today in history, Kennedy is assassinated, and in UK you do have Thatcher resigning as Prime Minister.
Yeah, but also in sports, in the Daily Monitor now, Karitwa's muscles reign at Mr. Uganda, and Ronald Karitwa easily beat challengers to become only the second man to win Mr. Uganda before winning Mr. Kampala crown after Ben Lukwago in 2015. Now Hamilton cuts on Verstappen. Lewis Hamilton won the maiden Qatar GP to cut Vax and Max Verstappen lead to 8 points with 2 races left. Uganda best in Africa, bask in global returns. Now Nakalembe finally wins Uganda Open. But also Man United sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer after Watford defeat. and underdogs Chadondo team Toothless Gomba Lions. Uganda fly into global qualifiers, and also Jogo still work in progress. Eagles seek their win. Inspired Nabukera shows set up Altona for nationals, and Nakarembe ends hoodoo triumph at Uganda Open.
In the New Vision Sport, we look at the Spotlight Capturer fast over 8-pack series. Tayet is so slow. And the Deep of Sports, you get to look at Kiplimo smashing the record. Is it the same old story for Tayet Training Center? You get to look at the Cricket Cranes Africa's Best. They do give you their results from the tournament that's taking place in Rwanda. You also get to look at World AIDS Day, Olesat, and much more regarding sport in the New Vision.
And Daily Nation, that is give us DP slot. Western tells Raila Odinga, tells of Raila, and OKA, we are not in talks with DP. And of course now in the big headline, the case will come up for mention before Judge Said Juma, that is Chitembwe, on December. Now Magara top lawyer in ugly court battle, and of course still about the same matter, but of course as matters gear up in terms of election that is yet to happen there in Kenya, also there is much pressure from both camps. Now, no beer, travel without COVID certificate. No beer, travel without COVID certificate. It means that for those of you who will be wanting to access bars in Kenya, you must travel with your certificate of vaccination. Well, of course, that's for it in the papers, and now we want to head onto the road and see how it looks like over there.
Now, that's a very interesting one, because if there's a country that has managed its consumption of alcohol, Kenya has definitely done a good job. One, they do have curfew for people taking in alcohol, and then now with the COVID certificate, and one wonders why Uganda is ranked top in the region for alcohol consumption.
Well, clearly it must be a researched feedback. And you're doing good, as a matter of fact, Ugandan. Yeah. So we are waiting to see what gifts come with that. In as much as His Excellency thinks that you are dangerous to yourselves, you continue to be. But anyway, let's look at what's on the roads, Priscilla.
What's on the road this morning? Well, we just want to look at some parts of traffic that are building up within the city center heading into the likes of Kampala, especially Kampala Road and the likes. But picking it up from the area code where you do have Mulago and also Kalere, you do have a lot of traffic that is coming in from Kalere Market this morning, and then it does feed into what is known as the Old Mulago roundabout, and then it brings that traffic on the Yusuf Lude Road, which then connects you to the Mulago roundabout, bringing traffic from the likes of Kira, basically Nakawa Division intercepting with Kira Road and Mulago main roundabout, which now shows you that there's a lot of traffic coming in from Kalere, people that are using the likes of Old Mulago to make en route into the heart of the city. Of course, there's so many back routes that come or bring traffic in from Gaza Road, bring in traffic from Kawempe Kalere and drop it right on Binaisa Road into the Mulago roundabout. Also, there's traffic building up before Mulago Hospital right onto Kira Road and the roundabout. And then, interestingly to note, there's no traffic that is building up heading into Mulago, into Wandegere, and yet on the other side, you do have traffic that has now built up to interact with the roundabout, obviously because of the slowness on either side. These two are slowed down. Looking at Yusuf Lude this morning, away from the Mulago roundabout, you don't have much traffic jam up until you come to the traffic lights at the Uganda Golf Club, which also give you an indication of red zones for traffic coming in from Acacia, parts of Kololo, Kamocha and Naguru. And then you also do have some traffic that is coming in from the other sides of Nakasero, interacting with the traffic lights at the Uganda Golf Course there. And so a long stretch right from the valley onto the traffic traffic lights, and also stretches of traffic that is coming in from Oasis Mall, trying to either interact with Golf Course, Acacia Lane, or continue onto either Kafu Road into Nakasero, or right ahead back to Mulago. But then that roundabout also is directly connected to the Oasis roundabout this morning. Oasis roundabout this morning also comes with its traffic, especially for traffic that is trying to then interject with the Kampala-Jinja highway. That is a bit slow right now, and the red zone stretches right from the Oasis Mall onto the main route. Equally for traffic that is coming in from Jinja Road, trying to use Oasis Mall to connect then to the other parts of Nakasero, Uganda Road, Nile Avenue. You do have them having a bit of traffic on the Oasis roundabout. Interesting to note that between Oasis roundabout and Nile Avenue roundabout, there's also a red line there, because people have learned to use this as an alternative route, given the fact that where you did have one of the bombings on Parliamentary Avenue, it's still under total lockdown. Those areas are still under total lockdown, only accessible to people that are permitted to access those area codes. But the rest of the normal road users, for now, you cannot use those particular area codes. Now, just to have a sneak peek of the Airtel roundabout into Kampala Road, you do have the Airtel roundabout there that is having a lot of traffic around the roundabout. You do have traffic that is coming in from Wampeo Avenue. You do have traffic that is coming in from Nakawa, as well as traffic coming in from Bugolobi, all giving you a traffic jam there on the Airtel roundabout. If you can manage, you do expect, of course, also a lot of time that is going to be spent of you from the traffic lights on Jinja Road, but there are traffic officers that are going to be able to manage that traffic for you, especially for those that are coming in from Kampala Road heading to Jinja Road, and those coming in from Jinja Road heading onto Kampala Road. Sticking to Jinja Road into Kampala Road, we then get to see another zone that is having traffic, that is the Nasa Road intersection on the Kampala-Jinja High Road. Now, this is simply because, again, of the Parliamentary Avenue routes that have been blocked off. So now people have to either come and use this route and then be able to connect to the Winton Road, then connect back to Nile Avenue, because Nile Parliamentary Avenue is still under total lockdown. So that is causing a lot more traffic in most recent days than before. Onto Kampala Road, where you get to then see other areas that seem to have a bit of traffic. Obviously, where you do have Diamond Trust Center, because commuter taxis are there, you do expect some traffic to be interrupted there. And then also you do have Entebbe Road traffic lights. This is where Entebbe Road does start from and interfaces with the Kampala Road. And you do have traffic that is coming in from Kampala Road trying to connect to Entebbe Road. Equally, traffic coming in from Kampala Road trying to connect to Entebbe Road from the Jinja side. Now, definitely, because of the traffic lights, that's the reason as to why you're seeing. However, interesting to note that this should be in motion. However, there seems to be a long stretch of traffic right from Entebbe Road, where you do have Absa Bank, and on to where you do have Standard Chartered branch, where you do have other banks. It stretches up to Mabirizi Complex, and it's up until King Fahad Plaza that it then opens up again. Of course, commuter taxi is responsible for majorly some of this traffic. You do have City Square that is back to business as normal, and downtown Kampala that is also bringing in a lot of people to start off their day. And that brings us to the end of Kampala Road, which is at the Watoto Church downtown roundabout, which then interfaces with Chagwe Road. Now, the upper side of Chagwe Road is showing you clear traffic. However, lower side of Chagwe Road is showing you a lot of traffic. Commuter taxis, you do have a lot of tread. This is a tread area, Chikubo area, Mukwano area that has a lot of people bringing their goods to start off their day and their week. So that's the reason as to we're seeing that much traffic. On to your responses to our poll question this morning in regards to curbing what is known as, road accidents in the country. We do have a message here that says majority of the accidents are caused by reckless driving, e.g. driving on shoulders, keeping right, taxis, buses and government vehicles, red plates and blues, not following red signs, basic lack of respect for each road user, and tippers driving in the middle middle of the road. Overspeeding, the solution is install traffic cameras. Okay, that's a nice one. Install more traffic cameras so that in case of anyone violating the road safety regulations, then they can be caught. I think the road user should now learn something, because this issue has been repeated several times, and the traffic police should do their role to protect our people from this incident from time to time. Thank you, Timothy from Lira. Well, thank you so much, Timothy from Lira, for your contribution to our poll question. And then we do have hashtag UBCGMU. Thank you for the show. You are most welcome. Road users should make the proper use of the road signs. Now, that's very paramount, because I doubt if we can, just do a sample space of people on Nile Avenue and their interpretation of road signs. Do they even get to notice the road signs? That's a big question. So I definitely do concur with you there in regards to road signs. Good morning, Uganda. We can only reduce or prevent road accidents if we develop respect for the road and the different road users. Do not overload, park at undesignated places. Don't drive on pavements. Don't overspeed. Don't drive DMCs, and those are dangerous mechanical conditioned cars, alcohol consumption, among others. We should advocate for tough measures. Sergeant Bernard, on regards to road safety. Well, thank you so much, Sergeant Bernard, for that regard. Then we also do have Calligraph from Gulu. I think traffic officers should be active on roads, and drivers and cyclists, not leaving the pedestrians, should respect road users in order to avoid accidents. Well, you will be shocked. Pedestrians are usually victims of recklessness of motorists, unfortunately. We do have another respondent here into our poll question. Hello, good morning. Thank you for the press. People should respect the roadway rules and regulations in quotes signs in order to reduce the accidents. This is Sansa Ronald from Soroti City East. Well, thank you so much, Sansa. We do have another message here. Good morning, Uganda. I am Amina Dawa from Arua City. Well, Arua City is definitely a beautiful one. I was there recently. And you say, I think road users should observe road traffic safety rules and respect other users. Police should also provide a toll-free number for the community to report reckless and speed drivers. Thank you so much, and greetings to Robert and Felix. Okay, all right, that's definitely a key one, because how we're seeing respondents to, the bomb threats that we had within the city center. How much more if we had different community toll-free numbers that in case of an accident, anybody that sees it can easily be able to call the concerned parties, and they come to rescue instantly. Thank you so much, Nelson from Bujiri. I think road users should learn to respect their lives by following road signs. Keep a safe speed, because they shouldn't rush to their death. Good morning, Uganda. Okay, that's an interesting one, especially in the festive season. It's the new roads, you want to try it out, you forget that you've not serviced your car and you have not done every necessary thing to your car to be able to get you to your destination, and yet you want to get to your destination in speed. There's always the speed limits for every area code, especially trading centers. Some of you cruise through trading centers, you forget that these are active spaces where everyone is doing anything at any time. Someone can cross out of the blue, but because you're not respecting the road signs, someone's life is ended just like that, and you get to run away, which is not responsible of us as Ugandans. As we near the festive season, the police on the roads has to minimize their own amplified incidences that cause accidents. Highway barriers are being wrongly and dangerously put on the road, whereby they exceed the covered lane. Recently, I lost my tire over the same. Oh, sorry about that. I've observed incidences where they chase border borders carrying children simply because the border borders ain't wearing helmets, and thereby putting lives of innocent children in grave danger. I prefer to remain anonymous. Okay, thank you so much, Anonymous. That's interesting. In regards to the police barricades that are put at different entry points or outlets of routes, well, I do concur with you, especially at night. Some of these have lost the yellow coloring and they're now brown. You can barely see them. So if you're not careful, you might end up losing your tire, as Anonymous lost his tire. Well, sorry about that. But if at least police can put some sort of lighting to indicate, or even the stoppage signage, that when it has reflected light on it, it can show some someone that there is something here that could go a long way in actually changing how people respond on the different roads. Good morning, Uganda. Hey, why should road users, what should road users do to avoid accidents during the festive seasons? Exactly what they do to avoid them in the non-festive season. Be cautious as they use the road. Stay away from alcohol and the steering wheel. Drive at minimal speed. Respect traffic road signs. Be integral. I've used the road, so consider of others. This morning, as always, Caleb Bai, though watching from Magic 100 Studios. Well, thank you so much, Tony Kent Chaze. We do have, hi, my morning is great. I'm watching from Malawi. My name is Fabiano Ndelele, proud of Uganda and UBC. UBC is my choice and Uganda is my favorite. However, I am Malawian. Wow, Fabinho, you should actually come in physical and visit Uganda, the Pearl of Africa. You will be amazed that away from UBC that inspires Uganda, the country alone does inspire Uganda. We also do have some core Kenyans that are watching. Good morning, Uganda, all the way from Kenya. Thank you so much. And even in Rwanda, Tanzania, and DRC, thank you so much. Our YouTubers who always wake up to stream live on UBC Television Uganda, we also love you from the diaspora. We do have one from Germany, and there's always one from Saudi Arabia. Thank you so much for always being with us on UBC, and good morning, Uganda, to be exact. Well, now is the time we prepare for our 8 o'clock hour, where we get to have a conversation with Fred Enanga, who's the spokesperson for our very own, for our very own Uganda police. Robert Kirabo is going to be having a conversation with him in regards to security and what we should be expecting in the near days as the festive seasons are coming around, as well as the expectation of the economy opening up fully. But as I close it up, obviously we must talk about the world champ there, breaking the record. Uganda's Jacob Kiplimo breaking the men's half marathon world record by 1 second, coming in 57:31. Congratulations to you, Mr. Jacob Kiplimo. Obviously, with the whole initiative that athletics are taking in each other, and they're taking interest in each other, investing in each other. We have seen this initiative from Joshua Cheptegei, who gave his friends that he went with to the Olympics money that was given to him. He gave it back to his fellow comrades, which has gone a long way, of course, in boosting them going on and representing just the country of Uganda, causing the crane to fly high. Well, allow us to take a short commercial break. We'll be back with a spokesperson for police, Uganda Police, and we do have Ruben Pima Chibirango this morning choosing to actually come in earlier, talk about Oliguna, talk about Jacob Kiplimo, and what else is happening in the world of sports. So stay around for a sports update.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
It's the festive season and we love it. And that means it's time to celebrate with GoTV.
Come with me.
So get your GoCoder and GoTV value for 25,000 shillings to watch with the whole family. And if you're feeling extra festive, upgrade to our best package yet, GoTV Super.
Something to look forward to.
Download the My GoTV app for more information.
Super.
We all deserve a super festive season. And with GoTV, there's every reason to love it.
The Kabaka Birthday Run 2021 is back on Sunday, 28th November 2021, and will be flagged off by Sabasaja Kabaka at 7 a.m. in support of men, good health, and the fight against ending AIDS by 2030. It will be a virtual run in our various homes and communities around Uganda, with every participant following the Ministry of Health guidelines and SOPs to stop the spread of corona. Buy your ticket today at 15,000 Uganda shillings from Airtel Shops, New Park, Chagwe Road, ShopRite Building, Benchwanuka, Tobani Center, or Bulange Mengo. You can also buy your ticket using Airtel Money. Dial *185*5#. Select payments, select Kabaka Run, and follow the prompts to complete the payment. Kabaka Birthday Run 2021, brought to you by UNAIDS, CBS, BBS, and Airtel, the smartphone network.
Raising voices.
I feel happy when my mother spends time with me. I hope all mothers will like my mother. I want my mother to reach out to all mothers. She knows how important it is to be a good mother. I promise to help my mother inspire other mothers to change.
In this time of COVID, what is your promise to the children of Uganda? Because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising voices.